Good morning, everyone. Gosh, it got awful quiet. Okay. Well, welcome to Unity of Music City. On behalf of Reverend Deb Moore, I am Ryan Gill. That's Jackson. That's Candy. What's your name, Sherry? Okay, all right. That's Sherry over there. We're going to start off by singing a couple of songs in a row. We're going to get our energy up. We're going to get it focused on having a great service today. Get our mind in the right spot. Get our energy in the right spot. So let's all stand and start with "This Door is Open to You," and then go into "Use Me." Here we go. 1, 2, 3. No matter where you come from, no matter where you're going, here's a place where you can take comfort in the knowing that whether if you come to stay a while or you're just passing through, this door is open to you. Come and let's be silent. Come and share a hug. Come, let's pray together. Come, love and be loved. From the blissed out to the turned out, from the pampered to the abused, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. If there's some kind of trouble or pain you're going through, know that you are not alone, and someone cares for you. As an individualization of divine point of view, this door is open to you. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. Sing it again. Come on in. Come on in. The God in us recognizes the God in you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. Whether you're black or white, gay or straight, Christian, Buddhist or Jew, this door is open to you. Let's do one more. Use me. Let's see, where am I? Key is. Use me, oh God, I stand for you. Here I'll abide as you show me so much. You sound great. Please be seated. If there are any kids that would like to go with the youth department, now is the optimum time. And now we're going to be really lonely.
Good morning, Unity of Music City.
Good morning.
Happy almost spring. Let's begin this portion of our service by taking a deep, centering breath. Today's centering statement is, I am contributing to the flow of good in the universe. In the spiritual dimension, energy is energy. There is no good or bad, right or wrong. It all depends on how we choose to use our energy. Where will we place our energy within the constraints of our time? How will we use our energy to give of our talents and knowledge? How will we translate the physical treasures that we have received into ways that make our world a better place? The universe operates through dynamic exchange. The energies of giving and receiving operate within all of us and are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe. Our work is to recognize where we are in our life balance. Are we giving as much as we are receiving? Are we receiving as much as we are giving? In our willingness to give back, we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives and adding to the flow of positive energy on our planet. For some of us, giving is easy, and receiving is more difficult. But when we receive from all that life has to offer by graciously accepting the good that comes our way, we are contributing to the greater cycle of love, joy, peace, and abundance in our lives. Of course, this doesn't mean we should give because of what we get back, but when we give with a heart full of love and empathy, we provide gifts wherever we go and to whomever we meet. So practicing the law of giving and receiving can be as simple as this. If you want joy, give joy to others. If you want love, learn to give love. If you want attention and appreciation, learn to give attention and appreciation. If you want wealth, help others prosper. Each time we do this, we make a positive contribution to the divine love that is the source of all good in the universe. And now please repeat these affirming statements after me. I am open to receive all of the good that the universe has for me.
I am open to receive all of the good that the universe has for me.
I have an incredible capacity for living, loving, and giving.
I have an incredible capacity for living, loving, and giving.
I am grateful for the opportunity to give back from the abundance that I have received. And so it is.
Well, welcome, 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 everyone. So great to see your smiling faces here today. We're excited to have you here. I want to welcome everybody that's watching on the live stream and that will be watching throughout the week. Your energy is just as important as everyone else here. We appreciate you tuning in too. So I want to say welcome, and I want to read to you our mission, vision, and purpose statement for this spiritual community. This is the whole reason that we exist. Our vision is to remember the universal presence alive in each of us. And I would say that we celebrate that also. Our mission is that we create experiences for expanding consciousness and awakening infinite possibilities. All kinds of different ways to do that, and we love every single one of those ways. Our purpose is to create a sacred space for authentic transformation, and you are sitting in the middle of that right now. So welcome, everybody. And I think we've got a few announcements. Sherry?
Yes, we do. Good morning. That was pretty good for the first time. I didn't have to ask twice. That's great. Town Hall potluck next Sunday. Next week, bring a dish. Everyone is welcome. Now, the question is, what is Town Hall? That's where we all come together, whether you're a member or not. It doesn't matter. If you're a part or semi a part of this community, then we want you at Town Hall because we talk about things that have to do with us, what we're doing, where we want to go. And so it's real important that we give everybody's feedback. So that's next Sunday. So bring a dish, everybody, and we'll have some time to talk together. Our youth program is open to all youth. If you have a young person who would like to share in some playful, spiritually uplifting activities, please speak with Stephanie, our youth director. Stephanie also would like to remind all families that they need to fill out the youth registration forms. Okay, this is really, really, really important for us to continue on forward with our youth program. So these youth registration forms are on our website, and you can get them there. So go looking, go hunting them up, and get that in. Multi-generational dance party. Did you hear that? We are having a dance party. It's been years since we've had a dance party. And so that's coming up March the 31st at 6 p.m. Free-spirited fun for all ages. Celebrate your inner child by dressing up in your own expressive way. We've got some good expressive people in this spiritual community. So, or come just as you are to dance the night away. Please bring your beautiful smile and a finger food to share. Please see Stephanie for more information. Stephanie's popular right now. Be a part of the kids' Easter egg hunt. What's Easter without Easter egg hunts, right? It just doesn't exist. If it's not an Easter egg hunt, Easter just goes on by. By donating candy, okay, candy-filled plastic eggs and dropping them, again, off with Stephanie by April 2nd. We're looking for greeters to join the welcome team. Okay, qualifications are be people-friendly, be full of enthusiasm, be warm and full of smiles. Responsibilities include commit to one Sunday a month, show up 30 minutes before the service begins, stand near the front door, greet each person with a smile. Greeters will also help newcomers feel welcome by showing them around the building, handing out a visitor card. If you are interested in becoming a greeter, please see another different person, Susan Hurt. Stand up, wave, Susan. Everybody knows Susan, I think. Okay, Crocheting Baby Beanies Project. Yes, we are doing it. We had our first, that was last week, and it was so much fun. Go to the Facebook, you'll see us there, seriously working to get our stitches right. And so the Baby Beanies, the next meeting is March 30th here at Wren Road. Please contact Tammy C. for more information. Tammy, and you can email her at Tammy, TAMMYSEAY 814 at gmail.com, or just call her 615-569-5698. That's an easy telephone number. Deborah Champion will be facilitating a group meditation every third Sunday of the month at 1 p.m. That's today. Yes. Guided and silent meditation will be available at each session, open to the community, and all levels of experience are welcome. We will meet here at Wren Road today. Love offering is appreciated. Whew. Wow, we got a lot going on, right? We got a lot going on. That's it for today.
All right. Well, let's all sing. It's time for our monthly mantra, this song that really describes who we are as a spiritual community. So let's all stand, and you are perfectly welcome to shake your booty or clap your hands, either way. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm not worried about tomorrow. Today I declare freedom from from yesterday's mistakes of the past. Today all things are made brand new. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? I can change my reality by changing my mind. Perfect peace, joy, and happiness is yours and is mine. I am loved and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? Let me hear you say all is well. All is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well. All is well. All is well and unfolding as it should. I am cloaked in the Spirit. I am fed by the divine. I am one with all that is. My soul is free from time. I am blessed and so are you. And don't it feel good to know that all is well and unfolding as it should? Let me hear you say all is well. All is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well. All is well. All is well and unfolding. And sing it again. All is well. All is well. Divine Spirit is directing me right now. All is well. All is well. All is well and unfolding as it should. All is well and unfolding as it should. All is well, y'all. Thank you so much. Please be seated.
I am ready for this day.
I am ready for this day.
Bring to me those experiences that fulfill the purpose you have for me. Dream for me a dream I cannot even imagine. Help me to remember that where I am supposed to be, I am, and who I am supposed to be, I am. I stay ready for this day by being present in the awareness of you. I am ready for this day. And one of the best ways to make sure that we are ready for this day is to spend a little time in the silence. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, to lower your shoulders, wherever there is tension in your body. Lovingly let it know that it can rest, it can go. Feel yourself supported by the chair and the earth. Know that in this moment you are completely safe. Become aware of the energy radiating from you. When we focus on it, we can almost feel the vibration of our skin, the warmth of sacred vibration. And as you sit in that energy, begin to feel it expand out from you. You know that there are people around you. Not only did you see them earlier, but you can sense them now. Imagine, if you will, the energy of each being in this room expanding until we begin to overlap with each other. And it expands even more until we have one large bubble of energy encompassing this entire community. All of us here gathered in the oneness that is the true essence of who we are. In this oneness, everything that tries to bring the delusion of separateness has to disappear. Everything that would divide us, pit one against the other, it has no space here. This is the core of who we are as a spiritual community, and it is the core of who we each are individually. To be ready for this day, we take a moment to be fully aware of the sacred oneness in the silence. In the silence. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for each expression of the divine who has come here this morning to be in this space together, to remember with each other, to learn with each other, to let you know that we are ready for this day. We are ready for this time. We are ready for where you have placed us. We're ready to love the people you have brought to us. We're ready to show up as sacred, as loving, as forgiving, as caring, as you would do.
Draw me closer to you each day. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Spirit, show me your way. Hallelujah, hallelujah. This is the prayer I pray. Let the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart, be acceptable to you today. Let the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart, draw me closer to you each day. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Spirit, show me your way. Hallelujah, this is the prayer I pray.
For those of you who were not here last week, the prayer that I offered, that I shared a couple weeks ago, was printed up. I am ready for this day. You'll need to see Stephanie if you want. No. Actually, they're out on the table in the lobby. Feel free to pick one up, put it on your mirror. It's a great way to start the day. I got to tell you, it's becoming more and more important to me as I move along and work with it each day. So today, look at that picture. Isn't that awesome? It's a great picture. Google is fascinating. Today we're going to talk about a new infinity, not the car, but a new infinity, which is a kind of oxymoron, right? If it's an at just a little bit. To get started, I'm going to tell you a brief story. Now, some of you may have heard me tell this story before. I think I've used it a time or two before, but if you have, just smile and nod, okay? Just go along with it. So let's go all the way back to 1982. I was a freshman in college. I was a speech and theater major at Trevecca, and I had done a little bit of theater. I'd done theater in high school. I was doing theater in college, and my theater professor at Trevecca in 1982 had about 750 students. It was kind of like year-round church camp. Was kind of what it was like. Loved it. Was fantastic. So at any rate, there were about 750 students, which meant that our theater professor, Robbie, you remember Robbie Little? Our theater professor, Robbie, taught all the theater classes, directed all the plays, and was the coach of the forensics team. She wore all the hats. And so near the end of that school year, she said to me, I would like for you to consider being on the forensics team the next year. Now, forensics, for those of you who don't know, is speech and oral interpretation and debate. I was never interested in the debate part. I know you find that hard to believe, but I was never interested in that. But the speech and the oral interpretation, that part kind of spoke to me, and she really wanted me to be involved with that the next year. And I said, well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I was 18 and wishy-washy. And she said, what I want you to do is I want you to go on this next trip with us to kind of learn about it a little bit. And by the way, it's nationals. It's in Estes Park, Colorado. So we were all going to get in a van, go to Estes Park, and I was in. I said, great, I'd love to go and just observe. She said, well, no, you can't go and just observe. You're going to have to take at least 2 different events. So you get started working on that. Let me know what you want to take. I would like for you to take an oral interpretive event. I was good at that. I could do that. That was theater. And I want you to take a speech. So I don't know. I can't even remember what the oral interpretive event was. I think it was a duo with a friend of mine. Easy peasy. We have a script. It's all good. But I decided that I was going to create an informative speech on the Shroud of Turin. Now, back then, we talked about the Shroud of Turin all the time. I don't hear people talking about it anymore. I don't know if you remember this or not, but it's the shroud in Turin, Italy, that supposedly has the imprint of a being on it, and people have claimed for years and years and years that it was the shroud that Jesus was wrapped in when he was put in the tomb. And so I had created this informative speech. Now, just to give you a sense of what it's like to give a speech in a forensics round, it is the toughest audience you will ever speak to. You are speaking to 7 people, which is the worst number on the planet. Trust me, I've had classes where 7 people showed up. It's bad. It just doesn't work. But not only are there only 7 people there, but in these 7 people, 5 of them are competing against you, and 2 of them are judging you, right? So it is the worst audience ever to give a speech to. Now, with this informative speech, I was allowed to bring a visual aid, so I had a poster board. I had a little portable easel I was carrying around with me. I set it up, and when it came my time, I stood up. You were allowed to have 2 note cards written only on the front, not on the back, and you had to speak for 8 to 10 minutes, right? So you better be prepared. You had this whole speech prepared. And I had been watching everyone else do it. This was my very first time. We were supposed to do 3 rounds, give the speech 3 different times, at different times of day. But in this very first time, I was watching how everyone else was doing it when their name was called, and they would go up, and they would stand up, and they would wait, because the judge would still be writing on the sheet like this, and finally the judge would look up and tell them to go ahead, and then they would begin. So I got my little note cards when my name was called, and I walked up front, and I was standing there, and all of a sudden the nerves kick in, and I stood there for, I think, 27 minutes. I'm pretty sure. It's probably 27 seconds, but it felt like 27 minutes, right? And finally, the judge glanced up and said, go ahead. Well, you know what my brain did? Immediately, I was completely focused on the subtext of that go ahead. What does he mean? Was he kind of irritated with me for waiting so long? What did that go ahead mean? All this stuff is going on in my brain. I know none of you have ever done anything like that before, right? It's just me. And I'm overanalyzing his tone, but I decided I've got to begin. My coach had told me, you need to memorize the introduction. So I had the introduction memorized, and I had the rest of it on my note cards. And so I gave my introduction. I was a little bit nervous. I had my poster board up, which probably had a picture that looked exactly like that on it. I can't remember exactly. And I got through my introduction, and I looked down at my note cards, and they looked something like this. Do you know what language that is, Julie? That's Klingon right there. That's Klingon. I stared down at this note card that looked like I have no idea what's on it, and I stared at it for, I'm sure, 15 minutes, which was probably 15 seconds, but it felt like 15 minutes. And I didn't know what to say next, and I was completely lost, and at that moment, I could not have even told you Turin was in Italy, right? I was completely lost, and I felt warm, moist tears building up in my eyes, and you know when that moment happens, you're beyond the point of bringing it back, right? It's the point of no return. And so I just said, I can't do this, and I ran out of the room, and I ran into the hallway. It was a hallway that looked something like, nope, it was there. It's not there anymore. Never mind. I thought I had a hallway up there. I ran out into a hallway, and I saw my coach, and she came up to me, and she said, what's wrong? I thought you're supposed to be around right now. And I'm doing this kind of number. And I said, I can't, I couldn't give the speech. My note cards are all messed up, and my stuff is still in there, and I'll never do this again. I'm never going to do this again. And she looked at me and she said, oh, yes, you are. And I said, I can't do it again. She said, how are you getting back from Colorado? Because you're paying me for your ride by giving me 2 more speeches. I won't tell you what I called her in that moment under my breath. Love her dearly. But I'll tell you what happened. After she talked with me for a little while and I calmed down a little bit, I thought, well, there's nothing to lose now. No big deal. I can't make it in the finals. I'm just going to go call these practice rounds. And I went to the second round, and I went in there, and I gave my speech. And it wasn't the greatest speech I ever gave, but I got all the way through it. And then I went to the third round, and by that time, I was feeling like I had this conquered, right? I got up when they called my name. I waited 5 whole seconds until I said to the judge, are you ready? I was a cocky little shit. Anyway, thank you. I got finished with the whole thing, and I'll tell you what happens. They give you your scoring sheets, and your coach gets the scoring sheets. You get back on your van, and then the coach hands them out, right? And in forensics rounds, at least back then, the way they would judge a forensics round is you got a 1 through 6 number, depending on how you ranked in those 6 people. And then you got a 0 to 100 number based on how you ranked overall. So in other words, someone who got like a 175 was the best of the round, but the round wasn't very good, right? Wasn't a very solid round. You got a 199, boom, yes. I got my sheets back, and the very first one said DQ across the top of it. And the second one said 382. Good, solid, I'll take that. And the third one said 197. At the bottom of it, they had written, I'll never forget it, they had written outstanding speech, right? Now, the reason why I tell you this story, by the way, I went on the next year and forensics became my life. Like, by that time, I was like, because, that's the way Aries roll. Where either it's our life or we don't want anything to do with it. There's no in between. And so on that day, I was at least 4 different people in that one day, right? I was me before the speech, with my little bit of Aries confidence and my naive ignorance. I was getting ready to do something I had never done before. I was a little bit nervous, but I had a little confidence. And then there was me in the moment of the panic and immediately after, when I was mortified. I was devastated. I was never going to do this again. I was not about forensics. And then there was me after the talk with my coach, where she pulled me back from the ledge just a little bit. And she brought me back to a place of willingness, and this is important, this could be a whole talk right here, a place of willingness without attachment. Because you see, before I'd ever given a single speech, it's another part of the Aries nature to be eyeing the finals round, right? It's part of our nature. And once that attachment could go, I could just do it. I could just participate. And then there was me after getting my scores, when I've got some new confidence and I've got visions of the next year. The next year, by the way, I went back the next year. This is like my great moment of glory. I'm not still as cocky as Carolyn thinks I am, because I know, it's in perspective, it was 40, I know that. It was 40 years in the past. That second year I won 27 trophies in forensics, right? And I used to say to people, if I could, I'd just do forensics as a career. That would be my career. I would just, how close I was to walking away from all of that, to letting it all go because of one defeat. Now, those 4 people I was in that day, there were probably many more people I was in that day. There was probably hungry me, tired me, bored me, all kinds of me's in that day. How many people have you been? Right? There have been millions of versions of you, because every experience we have shapes us. And you've had a handful of experiences already this morning walking in the door. Every new relationship, every new person we encounter, every breakup, every loss, every gain, every birthday, every job, every house, every new day, every concert you attended, every play you attended, every movie you've watched. The list goes on and on and on. And I'm not sure, I know, as a matter of fact, as a fact, that we're not the same person when we lay down at night that we were when we woke up in the morning. We've been many incarnations of ourselves, and that's just this lifetime. I'm not even taking into account the many lifetimes we may have lived. So there's two things I want to first tell you about all those millions of versions of you. The first thing is that you are all of those people. You are a whole disco ball of mirror images of yourself, right? And you are none of those people. None of them is truly you. So in order to get us started on this conversation, I want to tell a story from the Bible. Now, I have to give the biggest trigger warning on earth right now. If anyone has come from some religious trauma, and Lord knows I've had my share of it, if anyone gets, the yips when they hear certain things out of the Bible, just know I'm getting ready to share the biggie. This is the one that's guaranteed to give the biggest yips possible, so hang with me for just a moment. Be prepared. John 3, 1 through 8. So this man named Nicodemus, he was a man of the Pharisees, a ruler of the Jews. He was an important man. Nicodemus came to Jesus by night and said to him, Rabbi, he came by night, right? Don't let any of the other Pharisees know I'm coming to see Jesus. He said, Rabbi, we know you're a teacher come from God, for no one can do these signs unless God is with him. And Jesus said, truly I say to you, here we go, ready? Unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of heaven. Nicodemus said to him, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb and be born? And Jesus said, truly I say to you, unless one is born of water and spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the Spirit is spirit. Born again is a phrase with a whole lot of religious baggage. It's been used as a weapon. It's been used to cause religious trauma. As a child, I can remember feeling this fear, wondering if I was really born again, did I do it right? Right? This is a phrase that's used almost exclusively by evangelical Protestant Christianity. As far as I know, the Catholics don't talk about being born again, right? This is a weapon of evangelical Christianity, and it's used as a kind of litmus test, this secret handshake. It's like the secret password getting you into the sacred speakeasy, right? Have you been born again? Now let's add another layer, because we are an interfaith community and we always like to look at the way these ideas are talked about in different faiths. So this is from the Bhagavad Gita. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, he being the soul. Right? He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Now, there's not a lot of difference in what these two texts are saying. They're both saying it in the best way they knew how, with the context, the language, the understanding that they had at that time. Jesus, of course, was not saying literally to Nicodemus, you have to be born again, as he incorrectly interpreted. All he could see was the literal. He's talking about the transformation that reveals the divine. The divine that has not come into being, will not come into being, it has always been. The sacred that is at the heart of who each one of us is. When we differentiate between this born of the flesh and born of the spirit idea, we see the vivid difference between our material existence as a human being, as a person, as a personality, and our spiritual experience as oneness, as energy, as something endless and without beginning or end. The person born of flesh has lived many lives, has been millions of beings, It's had many beginnings, many endings. It's experienced gain and loss. It has accomplishment and defeat. It needs poetry to survive. It needs music. It needs inspiration. And this person is real. We're having a real experience in a world that some days feels really tough, right? And we are feeling those feelings. But that being born of water and spirit, I love that. I don't think of it the way I know my Protestant forebears would think of it. They would see that as being baptized and sanctified, right? Water and spirit. I look at that as one of the elements. That person born of the essential building blocks of life, that person born of the very essence of the world, that person born of water, fire, earth, air, and spirit, lives in the kingdom of heaven. The person born of flesh celebrates and frets, advocates and votes, gives and takes. The being born of spirit is ageless and timeless, unattached. The I am that I am and you are is never born, and it will never die. When we shift from an attachment to an identity of flesh, which is the identity we carry with us most of this existence, right? That's what we're constantly trying to get beyond, is the way we identify with this material existence. When we move from that to a living freedom as one born of spirit, that is the very goal and the very reason for our spiritual journey. Whether that journey is Christian or any other religion or no religion, that's the journey of all of us as humans. I think it was in the early 90s when I first heard about a process called rebirthing. Anybody hear about rebirthing? It was a big thing in the 90s as far as I know. And from what I understand, I didn't go through the process myself, I had friends who did. There was a breathwork practice for the most part designed to help release us from some of those early childhood traumas that had attached themselves to us and wouldn't let go. It was a way for us to get a release from that, to have a clean sweep, if you will. Let's go back and have a do-over. Let's detach from all of that, and let's start with a clean slate. Let's have a new beginning. We here call that authentic transformation. And it's the driver of our spiritual journey. This desire to transform, to become the person that we inherently know lives in here somewhere, right? This process of authentic transformation, the process of understanding for the soul there is neither birth nor death, the process of going back and giving ourselves a fresh beginning anyway, the process that Jesus called being born again, is a process of uncovering something already there. The fact that the analogy that's used is birth is perfect, because in the moment before birth, the baby is already in the room. Yes, the baby's in the womb too, but the baby's already in the room. The process of birth is getting that baby uncovered, bringing that baby out into the light, the baby that already exists. Spiritual transformation, authentic spiritual transformation, is giving birth to the baby already in the room. It's uncovering what never arrived, because it has always been there. We are unchanging beings living on the plane of change. That is our struggle, right? We're living in this material plane, this plane of sunrises and sunsets, where everything, if there's anything you ever hear about change, any corporate mantra will tell you, change is the only constant. Change always happens. We live in this world of dynamism and constant change, and yet who we are is as solid as a rock and has never changed. We are the eternal and the constant infinity being made new again and again each time it is revealed. So what does this knowledge mean for our journey? How do we juggle this infinite being that we are and this changeable world that we live in? How do we live from the space of constancy, the space of infinity? What are the vital steps that we need to take to even hope to live in the kingdom of heaven, in the unchangeable space of spirit, well, you're in luck. I have 3 steps for you today. Because 3 is the magic number, and you have to have 3 steps. It's the law. And really, these 3 steps could be seen as 2 steps. And at the end of the day, they're really kind of 1 step. But the first of the 3, if we need to break them down, is this. You have to forgive yourself. We won't get anywhere until we forgive ourselves. We have to let go of all those earlier versions of ourselves and the many, many mistakes they made. Right? It would be nice if each one of the versions of me had a different name. Although I can't remember 25 names of my students in a class, God forbid I could remember a million names of who I've been in my life. But if I could just name the big ones, like the person I was when I was with that person, that was a distinct person, right? The person I was at college, the person I was when I had that particular job with those particular people. Because if I could name those people, then maybe I could separate them from me and I wouldn't identify with them so much, and I could forgive them more easily. Because the toughest part of forgiveness is forgiving ourselves. I ran across this beautiful slide. This is get your cameras ready. You're going to want to picture this. You want to take it home and marinate in it. This beautiful, I had to put all the words on here from Emily Marushan, and this is what she said. Every single one of these is a mic drop. Forgive yourself for how you chose to survive. Boom, right there. When I look back at all the millions of mistakes those millions of versions of me made, every single one of them was an attempt to survive that moment. That's what it was. Forgive yourself for the desires you judged harshly. Forgive yourself for indulging in things that took up your time but didn't fulfill you. Forgive yourself for declaring yourself as someone you're not, which would be every single one of those millions of versions of myself when I thought myself was this being out here. Forgive yourself for your chosen avenues of negative expression. You do not need to ride in the car with your minister in heavy traffic, because negative expression can sometimes come out. Although I'm much better at it than my wife is. She won't, don't tell her that. Forgive yourself for all the times you didn't add value to others. That's the tough one for me, because that's the one that really sticks with me. Forgive yourself for what you discovered about yourself that you didn't like. Forgive yourself for whatever ugliness you saw in yourself. How dare we, as a creation of the divine, see ugliness? Don't you immediately see the beauty in your friends when they're seeing the ugliness in themselves? And yet we will deride the creation of the divine in ourselves so easily. Forgive yourself for not correcting what you think you should have. Forgive yourself for the parts you couldn't respect. Forgive yourself for all these judgments. And forgive yourself for not being able to forgive yourself more. What a different world it would be if we got up every morning and prayed, I am ready for this day, and then said, I forgive myself. Now, this is a different thing from stepping out of responsibility, right? Our friends in 12-step programs have taught us the beauty of taking responsibility and ownership for the way we behave, right? And that is part of self-forgiveness, I think. The way we self-forgive is we take responsibility for the way we've behaved. But what if we just started every day and say, I'm giving you a clean slate, Deb. I forgive you. You said this yet, because our mind, just like when that guy said, go ahead, our mind will nitpick over everything we said yesterday, every time we gave a look that we think wasn't as, loving as we thought it should have been. Everything we did, we keep playing it over in our heads. Just forgive it. Just forgive it. Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the 4 Agreements, said this: once you forgive yourself, the self-rejection in your mind is over. Now, I think what he means is you've truly forgiven yourself. Sometimes it takes us a while to get there. But man, that self-rejection in the mind is over. Self-acceptance begins, and the self-love will grow so strong that you will finally accept yourself just the way you are. That is the beginning of the free human. Whew. And that's what we all want to be, the free human. Forgiveness is the key. So we start by forgiving ourselves, and then, of course, step 2, we forgive others. We have to forgive others. This is tough in a different kind of way. There's a quote that people love. It's the number one quote. If you go and you type in Maya Angelou quotes, this is going to be the one you're going to get right here. When people show you who they are, believe them. And I am not one to argue with the good doctor, because she knows what she's talking about. And I understand the truth at the essence of that quote, but I wonder, why do we always tend to read this as a warning against bad behavior? We tend to see that as a way to be wary and a little bit skeptical. And when someone mistreats you, believe them. That's who they are. Don't let yourself fall prey to that anymore. But what if we use this as a way to hold a belief for someone? Like you meet someone and you say, hey, what do you do? Well, I wait tables, but I'm really an artist. You know what? I'm going to believe that about you. You've shown me who you are, and I'm going to believe that. Right? What if we were able to turn that around? And more importantly, if you've been millions of different people, so have they. Right? I would hate to think that someone out there still has an idea about me that they formed from my behavior 20 or 30 or 40 years ago. Because there are me's that showed up 20, 30, 40 years ago that I wouldn't like, that I wouldn't trust. Right? So am I still holding ideas about people I haven't seen in decades? And what if I held my anger and my grudge and my judgment a little more lightly? Or what if I just let them go? So I went looking for quotes about forgiveness, and there's a bajillion of them, but there were 3 I have to use, and they're from 3 people I admire. The first one is from Mahatma Gandhi. The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. I think it's like any exercise we do to create strength. The more we do it, the better we get at it, and the more able we are to do it, and the more we want to do it. It becomes kind of like an obsession. And it's one of the truest behaviors in letting go, to forgive others. When we feel the freedom that comes with forgiving others, if you've ever truly forgiven someone of something and felt that freedom, you want to feel it again. Right? Who can I forgive today? Who can I let go of in my psyche today? I remember the years when I was too weak to forgive. I remember holding on, needing to cling to unforgiveness, needing to keep the story fresh, needing to keep the anger fresh. And it's like handcuffs that get tighter the more you struggle against them. Right? And then there's a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King. Notice that these first 2 people are known for fighting against oppression, systems of oppression. We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. Whew. Forgiveness and love, really kind of the same thing. You can't live a life of love without living a life of forgiveness. And imagine for a moment who his audience is. Who is the we he's talking to? It's one thing to forgive someone who said something nasty to you, or someone who involved you in a really nasty breakup or something like that. It's a whole other thing to forgive a system of oppression. It's a whole other thing to forgive those who don't show any indication of changing. And this is important to know, that forgiving someone doesn't mean that you make yourself vulnerable to the pain they can inflict again. It means you no longer get to take up space in my head rent-free. You no longer get to live in my heart, making my heart hard, right? Trying to live a life of love while not forgiving is like trying to go forward when the car's in reverse. Because unforgiveness is the reverse of the spiritual journey. If you can, imagine a person who's hurt you in the past, maybe someone who you still fume a little bit about when they come up. Probably for most of you, immediately you thought of somebody, right? Imagine if you just took them into this prayer with you. You don't have to go talk to them. This is not a 12-step program, not this one. You'll know if you need to go talk to them. But for right now, you don't need to go talk to them. What if you just said, I forgive the person you were then? And I refuse to believe that you don't have the same capacity to change that I do. So I'm going to show you that grace. The third quote is from Marianne Williamson, and she says, "The practice of forgiveness is our most important contribution to the healing of the world." There's a whole lot of healing that needs to go on in the world right now. And it's the practice of forgiveness that helps get us there. Again, that doesn't mean to open ourselves up, make ourselves vulnerable to the hurt. It remains true that when someone shows you who they are, believe them. If someone shows you that they are racist or bigoted or hateful, steer clear. Steer clear. They got a lot of work to get back to living in love, and it may not be mine to show them or help them do that. Right? I get to steer clear from that. It remains true that working through this pain caused by extreme trauma, brought on by oppression, brought on by bigots and racists, that requires something more than a few pithy phrases. I can't give you 3 quick keys to that. That's a lifetime of work. Forgive always, but you only need to endorse based on changed behavior. Right? The third step is to love each other. We have to love each other. Every religion speaks of this. The greatest of these is love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is core. Love is everything. Living from love is the essence. It's the evidence. It's the stuff of sacredness. And just as we learned a moment ago, it's connected to one another. If you, as Dr. King taught us, if you can't forgive, you can't love. There's a Baha'i quote from the tablets of Abdul Baha. "Love is the mystery of divine revelations. Love is the effulgent manifestation. Love is the spiritual fulfillment. Love is the light of the kingdom. Love is the breath of the Holy Spirit. Love is the cause of the manifestation of God in the phenomenal world." How do you show up as divine? You show up as love. In The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho wrote, "I love you because the entire universe conspired to help me find you." Now, we read ideas like this a lot of times because we read those with the idea that we're talking about someone we're madly in love with. Oh, the universe brought you to me. We're destined to be together for 3 years. Get out of here. You're gone, right? But the truth of the matter is, isn't that true about every person in our life? Every relationship we've ever had? Right here, I'm in relationship to every single person in this room, and I love you because the entire universe conspired to have you here right now. We are taught from every wisdom tradition on the planet to love one another. We're implored to love one another. Every divine other the universe brings our way. And this forgiveness and this love work hand in hand. So here's the thing. We live in this changeable world. We forgive the changeable because that's the only place where forgiveness is needed. That's the way love shows up in the changeable world. The world where you show up as a million different people and I show up as a million different people might require that we have to forgive each other every now and then. But we love from the unchangeable spiritual presence. There's another Bible verse, one more trigger warning that I want to share with you, 2 Corinthians 5:16 through 17. "From now on, therefore, we regard no one according to the flesh. Even though we once regarded Christ according to the flesh, we regard him thus no longer. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, if anyone is whole, if anyone is living from the heart, if anyone is living from love, if anyone is aligned and centered and balanced, if anyone is aware of the divine presence they are, he is a new creation. The old has passed away, and behold, the new has come. I forgive the person I once was. I forgive the person you once were. I love the presence we both are, your essence, my essence, this divine spark that's the unchangeable part of us. We balance these two ideas very carefully, and that's our spiritual journey. Jack Cornfield said, "In the end, these things matter most. How well did you love? How fully did you live? How deeply did you let go?" How much were you able to forgive? So in this infinity of spirit and love that we live in this changeable world where we constantly have new beginnings every day, every sunrise. And this week we have 2 really important new beginnings. And I encourage you to look at these new beginnings as a new way of uncovering that which was already there. A new reminder, one reminder yet again, that you are the unchangeable. We have spring equinox tomorrow, March 20th at 4:24 p.m., which is a time of new beginnings. We enter into Aries season, yes. And then, of course, the day after, we have a new moon on Tuesday, March 21st at 12:23. And both of these are excellent new beginnings. They're opportunities to remember the infinite self that you are. I'll leave you with one quote from Ram Dass. Our whole spiritual transformation brings us to the point where we realize that in our own being, we are enough. We can only realize that when we forgive ourselves. We can only realize that when we realize that in your own being, you are enough. That in each of us, in our own beingness, we are enough. Namaste.
And what a perfect way to slip into gratitude. Crystal, can we skip forward and do the song, I'm Grateful? I think this song is the perfect way to bookend what Reverend Deb was talking about, because these are I am statements that we can solidify what she was talking about. So let's sing that right now as a kind of a bookend prayer for the lesson today. For another day of living, I'm grateful for a new chance to forgive. I'm grateful to receive life's many blessings, and I'm grateful for the love I have to give. Grateful for another day of living. Grateful for a new chance to forgive. Grateful to receive life's many blessings. And I'm grateful for the love I have to give. And I'm grateful for the love I have to give. So it is. Let's take a look at the various ways to give back. We know we can give back to our spiritual community by the gift of our time, by the time that we spend here, the time that we become involved in our spiritual community. We know that we can give back to our community through our talents, through our knowledge, our gifts of our abilities, and we know that we can give back by the way of our financial contributions. Hey, we got to pay the bills, right? You can do that by using the PayPal QR code. There is a blue vase right there in the back on your way out. You can put your paper contributions in. And let's all stand up together, and let's all say the prayer for protection together.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
1, 2. Let it be. Watch over us. We let the love wash over us. We let We let the love wash over us. Watch me. We let it be. Thanks for coming, everyone. We appreciate you. We love you. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you back next Sunday.